All right. What is up, everybody? We are going to this is the first time I've ever done a YouTube live. I've had a YouTube channel for I don't know 10 years. I've been posting on it for 7 years, and someone told me this was kind of the next jam. The next way to go about this is to be live and to do real stuff. And so we're going to do that. And we're going to talk to you guys. And so today, what we're going to do is we are going to talk through briefly a topic, and then I'm going to just answer some common questions I get. We pulled some screenshots of questions and comments that we get in the YouTube channel, and we're going to talk through them and we're going to see what happens. So, and then I think the way this works is that you guys can chat and I can kind of answer questions there. And so we're going to dig through that and see how that goes. But today we're going to talk through the Venezuela operation briefly. And I will say this. We're not going to talk through the politics of it. I don't care, left, right, neutral, whatever, not talking through it. But I want to say this. Can you think of a more badass display of what your military is capable of than basically in the middle of the night capturing a president and his wife out of their palace without taking a single casualty? So this operation was incredibly well articulated, well planned for. In fact, they released yesterday or today a video of the dress rehearsal for this, where Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, and President Trump are overseeing the operation. And again, we're not here to talk about the politics of this, but just the operational side. So just a couple of thoughts on it real quick, and then we're going to dig into some comments. So first thing is, like, this was a high risk, like, capture, operation. This was Delta Force. This was, from my understanding, 20 different air bases coming together with, C-130 refueler planes, or whatever they're called. I think they're C-135s or something like that. F-35s, Apaches, Chinooks. I mean, the works, right? Even the little birds that Delta Force guys come in on the side. So there's all kinds of stuff going on there. And at the end of the day, I'm not active duty anymore, and there's operational security OPSEC issues with this. So we're not going to discuss super specifics of where these all came from, because that's just how this works, right? But just so you guys know, the primary objective here was to apprehend high value target 1 and extract safely, right? And then as a secondary, maintain operational surprise, minimize U.S. casualties, both successful, limit civilian harm, prevent escalation during and after execution. I mean, all of this just crushed. They knocked this out of the park, right? What people don't know is that for an operation like this to go on, they were probably doing, months, if not years, but months of preparation work. We're talking CIA and other counterintelligence guys on the ground doing prep work, mapping out they built an exact replica of the palace to practice on, so that the Delta operators knew how to do their close quarters combat, where they would be going, where to find the high value target. There is a ton of preparation that goes into this, right? Stuff that, they needed to understand: daily habits, location, rotation of people, security layers, timing windows, like when are guards where. Human intelligence close to the target proved incredibly valuable for this operation, right? Obviously we prioritize surprise over speed on this, and isolation over overwhelming destruction, right? We were trying to just take out this one spot, this one target, and not decimate the entire land, because we could, but that defeats the whole purpose, right? Again, extraction. That's the goal, not occupation here, just extract and go from there. So I just wanted to talk through that, because if you're thinking through, take all the politics aside, this was probably one of, if not the most brilliantly planned operation that we've seen in a long time, where it went in, out, no hits. Even in the Bin Laden takedown, that was an execution, not a capture, which arguably a little bit easier in theory than taking somebody alive. But they lost a helicopter. They had a downed helicopter in that extraction, right? And so not nearly as clean as this. And so I just wanted to talk through and just say, hey, kudos to them for pulling that off, all the operators there. This is an incredible show of force of what the United States is capable of when it puts its mind to something. And, politics besides, pretty sweet. Now, let's talk into, I want to do this real quick. I've not done this before, so I'm going to give me a moment to just try to make sure I know how to do this. I think that this is as simple as clicking the button. There we go. So now, cool. So I wanted to do that. Now I kind of know what this PowerPoint looks like. And so I want to just talk through a couple comments I got in my channel, and then we'll go through the chat for a little bit. We'll just hang out for a little while. And then I'm going to try to do this next week, similar time, following week, and we're going to make this more consistent. And we can talk through. You guys can see I'm a real person. This is unscripted. This is just live, right? So here's one. This is on a video where I'm talking about the first week, the receiving week at recruit training. And so this gentleman saying, you know, hey, 17, cried the night before graduation. Drill sergeant said I was going to be one hell of a soldier. I know that he said it to hundreds of soldiers, but it was the first time that anyone said anything positive to me in my life. And I just thought that was cool to highlight, like, hey, by the time you get to graduation at recruit training, you are treated as a soldier, as a Marine, as an airman, as a sailor, you know, because you've graduated, you are now one of them. And so you go through this major transformation throughout training. And this guy just encapsulated that very well, where he's like, yeah, nobody ever said something that meaningful and positive to me in my life. And to hear it from your drill sergeant, your drill instructor, is very powerful, right? This one made me laugh. As you can see, I had liked it. The MEPS doctor changed me. If you haven't gone through the MEPS experience yet, you know, you're going to have some interesting experiences along there. This is probably a reference to the actual, like, the duck walk and all of that side of the screening, where they got to make sure that everything in you is operational, right? It is what it is. You got to make sure your joints work and everything. So this was just kind of basically, like, look, this one says, I see so many veterans buying cars, nice apartments, bullshit. And then they complain about their cost of living not making enough. So this is something I'm going to really start taking a stand on this year. And that is essentially like, hey, you don't get to talk to me about how poorly the military is paid or the benefits are unless you're willing to show me your bank statements and show me your budget. Show me where your money goes. Because the reality is that almost everybody, military or not, but especially in the military, who is struggling financially, it's self-inflicted. And, you know, that sounds harsh, but it's true. I mean, even myself, you know, it's easy to do lifestyle creep where you're like, oh, I made a little more money. Let me spend that extra bit on this. And people do it. And it's unfortunate. But I want to start highlighting the value that is brought by saying, hey, let's look at your budget. Let's look at where your money's going. Are you spending $300 a month on beer? Are you spending $500 a month on food when you could eat at the chow hall? Did you take on a $700 car payment when you didn't need it? Where can we take responsibility, ownership, accountability, and not play victim so that we can actually improve our financial situation and achieve financial freedom, which is absolutely possible for service members and vets? I got this one, and this just made me chuckle because I actually see this a lot. And full disclosure, I do talk fast. I get it. But I wanted to just highlight the fact for anyone who watches this and is open to some feedback. If you click the little settings button, you can adjust the speed. And so, like, I always listen at 1.25 or 1.5 times because I listen fast too. But if you think I talk too fast and you want me to go a little slower, change it to 0.75 or even 0.5. Problem solved. Now I am speaking slowly to you because you slowed the video down, which will make you happier. So I laugh because I see this and I'm like, it probably took you longer to open the comment section and type this out than it would have to go click, click, and slow it down. So, you know, there you go. Now you know how. 60% disabled due to back pain, $1,600 a month in disability pay. Uses his pay to work, to pay all bills, whatever the wife wants, right? And then VA money to invest, Roth IRA, brokerage accounts, no exceptions, only growth. So I like this because this was on one of my posts where I was talking about this, is the idea that, hey, if you are sustainable without your VA disability, instead of blowing it on dumb stuff, use it to reinvest, because that $1,600 a month can go a very long way in your investments towards your financial freedom, right? That is just shy of $24,000 a year. It's probably like $22,000 a year that you could invest in addition to whatever you might already be investing, which compounds very quickly. I mean, in 5 years, that's $100,000 if you don't have any interest, but it's probably closer to 120, 130. And then 5 years down the road, we're probably talking, from there, that becomes probably 300K. And then, so like 15, 20 years of doing that, and you're at $1 million in addition to whatever you would have been able to save and invest without touching that. Um, so this, you can't necessarily take over your mother's mortgage with your VA loan. However, you could purchase the home with your VA loan, and then you live in it as your primary residence. So I would need more context to give a better answer to this question. But no, for sake of just the question, you cannot assume a mortgage with your VA. You would just be assuming that mortgage, which is a different thing. But you could purchase the house with the VA if you were actually taking over ownership from your mother. You would have to intend to occupy it as your primary residence, though. And I want to answer this one from Nicodemus. Yes, you can, in fact, switch your career while in the military. Now, I'm sure every branch, they might not all call it the same thing, but in the Marine Corps, it's called a lateral move. We call it lat move. And this is where you request to change your MOS, your job, your military occupational specialty. And so this does happen. It's not necessarily always an easy thing to pull off. Sometimes there's a lot of time requirements, and there are different stipulations, but yes, you can do this. I had a second job while I was in the Marine Corps, which was recruiting duty. And then I came back to my original job, which was Motor T truck driver. But I had a lot of friends who changed jobs. In fact, there are careers, at least in the Marine Corps, where you're not even eligible to do them until down the road, meaning for us, you can't try out for MARSOC, which is our special forces, the Marine Raiders, until you've been in the Marine Corps for 2 or 3 years. So you have to execute a lateral move to become a Marine Raider. Same with some of our intelligence field, such as counterintelligence. To be CI, counter intel, you have to lateral move as a E4, E5 into that job field. And there's a lot of other things, like you could go lateral move into air traffic control. You could change from non-infantry to infantry, from infantry to non-infantry. It's not always easy, and it's going to depend on how many spots that job field needs, but it is a very possible thing. It may just not be, you may not necessarily get exactly I mean, at the end of the day, you can submit for the job you want, and if you don't get it, you can submit for another job. And I have quite a few friends who've changed jobs while serving. So yes, that is a thing. This gentleman, 100% permanent and total disability since 2021. Dependents covered. Yeah, so you, as the disabled veteran, full VA healthcare for everything. You don't need to be on your wife's insurance. I guess you could, but you are covered 100% by the VA, not just for services from the VA. In fact, they can refer you to anywhere. Perfect example. I have been referred out for sleep apnea, my CPAP machine that was referred to a private civilian contractor. I've also been referred out for chiropractor. I've been referred out for whatever. And then the VA has taken care of me in a multiple different ways on top of that. For your dependents, for your wife and family, that is what's called CHAMP VA, which is a health care for dependents if you're 100% permanent and total disabled. Now, I will say if you have insurance and CHAMP VA, then CHAMP VA will come in as a secondary tier to your primary insurance. But if you don't have insurance, CHAMP VA will cover it. Oh, yes, CHAMP VA. Oh, and I guess that is the end of the comments that we pulled. So let me stop sharing, and I'll get back to this chat side, and we'll talk with you guys for a few minutes. All right, let's see here. Thank you. I appreciate your service as well. Doing work in the streets. Yep. Is it true the U.S. moved the warships to the north side of Cuba? Can neither confirm nor deny. I am not here to speculate on current movements of military vehicles, military operations, and any insight that I do have into such things, I would keep to myself, although I don't have any knowledge about that, because it does nobody any good for me to talk ahead of military operations. All right. This proves that our military are the best in the world at doing what they do. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. Politics aside, this shows what the U.S. is capable of when they want to be, and pretty stellar showcasing of our operational ability. Rooster, 15, want to join the Navy at 17. What's your thoughts? Absolutely. I love it. My kid wants to join the military when he's old enough, and I am very much supportive. I think out of high school, there's not a better path for somebody unless you're like hell bent on being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, like something where you have a specific job field and a degree and a whatever. Like, even then, you have to pay for it. The military will pay for it. So, like, even if you just did 4 years to really figure out what you want to do in life, then you've got tuition assistance while you're in, GI Bill once you get out, and you're not having to pay for college. And I would argue that at, call it 30 years old, if you took somebody who paid for school, got a job, and then worked until they're 30 versus somebody who joined the military and worked, got their job, got their degree without having to pay for it. In fact, they got BAH while they're doing it, and then gets to 30, works till they're 30. My argument here would be that the service member who didn't have to pay for school, had some job experience and life experience before going to school, then got their degree and only had a few more years in their career field, had a few years in their career field, would actually be in a better financial position than the person who went to school right away, is still dealing with student loan debt and has an additional 3 to 4 years in job time. That's just my assumption. I could run math a million different ways, and at the end of the day, it's going to depend on you and how you actually invest and use your money. Let's see. Biggest twice fan, 165. For Navy, you have to have been in for 2 years, and the Navy has to release you from your old rate. Yeah, it's definitely going to depend on what job field you want to get into and everything like that. Matthew Lewis, shipping on the 27th of the month for boot camp. Of this month for boot camp. Any final tips you want to give me? Matthew, go watch my videos on what to do with your money at and or right after boot camp, how to set up your thrift savings plan, where to invest, where not to blow your money. I will tell you this, the best advice, be in the best shape you can be mentally prepared, because it's going to be harder mentally than it is physically. They'll get you in shape, and really just don't quit, and take care of your feet on like the rucks and everything. Outside of that, best advice I can give you is when you join the military, your finances are going to set you up for success. Don't be the idiot like everyone else who then goes on and takes on stupid credit card debt and auto loans that they can't afford and tries to keep up with the Joneses and digs yourself a hole. Put as much money as you possibly can away in both TSP and index funds or your own Roth IRA, whatever. You can learn about that stuff in my book. Put as much money as you can away in those things to set your future self up for success. And then when possible, execute the VA loan, buy a fourplex, live in one unit, rent the rest, or buy a 5-6 bedroom house, live in one room, rent the rest to friends. Either of those scenarios where other people are paying for your mortgage, you can now reinvest that money, and that will make you far more successful in life. Your length of contract is going to depend on your MOS. So 4 is the default, and then 5 is for special jobs. Like if you go nuke or, job fields that have very long training cycles will be a 5-year contract, but it's going to be 4 or 5 depending on your job. Those are the standard. Either one's fine. James says, thank you for your future service. Eggs, what do you think of the motor transport MOS? Oh, the motor transport MOS. You mean the one that makes you have these signs that say convoy follows attached to the front of your vehicle and then a convoy ahead on the back of your vehicle? I wouldn't know anything about that. I definitely didn't do that for 13 years. I love Motor T. Now, I will tell you, there are probably better jobs that will serve you more more well-rounded in what you learn as far as out of the military. But as far as a fun job, like we got to do fording. There were times I'm driving in water like up to my neck. We're like trying to pull vehicles out of the mud, and I'm like crawling under the mud to hook them up to a winch. I'm driving 4-wheel drive, 6-wheel drive with a mine roller through Afghanistan, through the desert, like off-road. Like if you are a redneck and you like some mud and some off-roading, the most fun. I loved that job. So somebody prod says, skipped my comment, but I scroll up. I see no comment. Oh, you said hi or hey. Yeah, sorry. I skipped the hellos and heys. I didn't have a hi. So Sorry, I'm answering questions. So can vouch. I know so many people who had no debt going in Navy Fed. Boom. Yes, absolutely. Just be smart with your money. And again, download my book. It's free. In almost any description on any of my videos, you can go download it, or you can go to my website, From Military to Millionaire, and there's a link to download it for free. Or you can buy it on Amazon or Audible as well. It is narrated by me. So for those of you who comment that I speak too fast, it's fast. Slow it down. But the PDF is free. Joseph, love your vids. Prior service Marine here. Hell yeah. Going in guard soon. Love it. One of my buddies did that. Went to MEPS last month. Swear in. Told all the youngins. Oh, you did them dirty. I love it. Joseph, I appreciate that. Thanks, brother. Semper Fi. User Junior 5 Junior 8HW6F. Want to be a Marine and pursuing that career. I have been for a long time. Awesome. Hell yeah, go for it. I love it. There you go. Motor T, you switch to the Navy. Love it. Yeah. Marines, we do that thing. We get out of the Marine Corps and we often find ourselves missing the military, and then the Marine Corps won't take us back, so we go elsewhere. Or we get out of the Marine Corps, we're like, my knees hurt. I'm going to go somewhere else. James, my dad was in the Marine Corps, 80 to 83, couldn't get out of the Cherry Point, so he left. Oh, yeah, I get that. Cherry Point. There are worse duty stations, but Cherry Point, like if you were stuck in the same spot, like in my first 4 years, I was stationed in Okinawa, San Diego, and then, I went to 13 countries and a deployment to Afghanistan while in Okinawa. And so it was a blast. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. Prod, I don't see that comment anywhere up there. Why do you think the East hasn't responded? Do you think they sold out Venezuela? Hey, Prod, okay. I think you missed the part where I said I wasn't talking politics on this. I'm not a political person, not publicly at least. So I don't know. I'm not a conspiracyist. So yeah, no answer. No idea. Also, I don't know that you would respond to that level of force. That's the whole point. Like, even if you weren't involved, you're probably like, oh, shit. Yeah, let's just mind our own business, right? Yeah, Cheez-Its, this is my first time live. So we're testing it out. And I'm glad you like my videos. I appreciate the kind words. And 20 years old. No, that's not unk status. That's fine. Joining at 20 is totally dope. You're good. Plenty of people join way older than that. KG swore in yesterday, shipped to Paris Island the 12th. Oh, that's dope. A funny story. I actually just got introduced to the Sergeant Major of Marine Corps Recruiting Command, and I'm trying to convince them to essentially pay me as a marketing person for the Marine Corps. Cause I'm like, I try to be pretty neutral, but I love the Marine Corps. So like, you guys should use some of your marketing budget and hook it up. What I really want them to do, I would love for them, this is like a pipe dream, we'll see if this comes true. I would love for them to sponsor a video where I go back through the first week of boot camp with somebody filming, and like they shave my head. I do the whole thing. I call my mom and whatever, so that people can see real time what that's like. I think that would be cool. Even cooler if I could get every branch of service on board. I could spend like a month and I could go through like every single branch of services and compare them all. I think that'd be sweet. Oh, James, that's unfortunate. Is it possible for you to get LASIK? I would imagine that if you got LASIK and then could see fine, that you could probably join at that point. And I will tell you that I got not LASIK, but PRK, which is different procedure, but the same outcome while serving. It was covered by the military, but that very much helped me. So I would imagine you could probably get in if you got that done. Confirm that before you go pay for the surgery, or get insurance to pay for it. Station in Yoko. Oh, that's awesome. I loved when I lived in Japan. One of the funnest places I was ever stationed. Adams, Dave, I love your channel. Very informative. Do recruiters have any influence over what actually gets put in your contract? I mean, yes and no, not really. So the contracts are all predetermined documents. The only thing that really changes is your job selection. There's a couple nuances, but it's not like they're changing the typo. Like they're not like changing text. What they're doing is penning in like yes for this, no for this. So like your job choice, usually like the way the Marine Corps does it is like, hey, choice 1, 2, 3 based on what you're qualified for, and then you kind of pen in that piece and like you fill out the job contract. But as far as the actual like enlistment documents, not really. Like it's very minimal. It's all pre-done legalese, fill in the blanks. In fact, it's so particular that if you like chicken scratch, like if you like initial something and you accidentally like doop with your pen and it's just like a little tick mark off to the side, like even if it's nowhere that matters, you have to redo the whole document. Like there could be no typos, no blotches, no nothing. It's kind of crazy actually. KG, I appreciate you. That'd be sweet. Yeah, I think I got, because at the end of the day, been there, done that, love it. And it would be funny if I could get through boot camp like that. There you go, Joseph. 35 in boot camp. See, I told y'all there's some older. My drill instructor, one of my drill instructors, joined at 29 or at like 28 years of age for the Marine Corps, right? So, oh, James, that's unfortunate. Well, we appreciate your support. Michael, Semper Fi. Yeah, Semper Fi. Happy New. Yeah. 66 to 70 with third maw. Oh, shoot. VA prevailed with your VA appeal, first denial 1976, reverse grand. Oh my gosh, Michael, that's huge. That has got to be just a huge weight, like just drop in the pack, just a huge weight off your shoulders. So I'm glad that they were able to get you taken care of. That's incredible. Congratulations. Adams, heard that you signed one contract for the DEP and another for active duty. I mean, not really. Like the DEP is just like a waiting period. You do swear back in, but the documents don't really. It's the same. You just carry your package through everything. In fact, hang on. It's got to be in here somewhere. Hang on. This will be cool if I can find it. Well, maybe it got buried somewhere. I don't know. I was going to show you all my enlistment stuff, but I don't know where it went. But I can show you. This is to certify David Joseph Perret has successfully passed the required mental, moral, and physical examinations have been accepted to delayed entry program. 21 March 2008, a week after my 18th birthday. I don't think there's anything else cool in here. There's some random awards. There you go. Ooh. Nobody cares. Great. Oh, come on. Close. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. PKN green card holder with master's degree. What MLS can? So the only thing is, and I don't actually remember off the top of my head because I live. Full disclosure, I was a recruiter in Missouri. Not a whole lot of. I think we ran into one green card holder the entire like 3 years I was a recruiter. Actually, funny story. We ran into a green card holder. He enlists. His background check comes back. He forgot to tell us that he had actually been here illegally, got deported, then came back legally and got his green card. So we had to like go through this whole screening because I'm like, bro, you got deported and didn't think to tell anyone? He's like, well, I have a green card now. I'm like, yeah, but that's still worth knowing. Like that's gonna come up on your background check. Anyway, this was like back, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The one thing, the green card, I don't know if there's any effect to security clearance. And so not being a citizen yet, I would actually imagine you probably can't get the top secret or the secret security clearance. So there are some limitations to jobs. If that's the case, there are some limitations to jobs clearance wise. Other than that, I don't think there'd be any limitations. So it would just be whatever requires a secret clearance. You would have to wait till you get citizenship and approved for that secret clearance and then can go and get it. Now, I say that I'm not sure if that's actually a disqualifier for a secret clearance. Like I said, I didn't have to deal with it. So that's kind of my thoughts there, that you can hopefully take that and go from there. Uh, Recruiter, 15T, Blackhawk repair, mechanic, competitive job, or spouse usual. Unfortunately, I can't answer that because I was a Marine Corps recruiter. Our job fields are different. I have absolutely no insight to the way the Army, like how like what's competitive there. I would imagine it's probably not incredibly competitive if it's anything like the Marine Corps, because in the Marine Corps, the infantry jobs are what everybody wants. But I don't know. You just have to ask your recruiter. Yeah, it's totally okay to go straight into the Marines from ROTC, JROTC. Let's see, biggest instructor is at Camp Pendleton now. Greenside Corpsman. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we love our corpsmen. User, is it better? Oh, you said, is it better to wait or go into the Marines? If you want to become an officer, which I have a video, enlisted versus officer, that will answer some of my thoughts on that, then yes, ROTC might be or is the best path to becoming an officer right out of high school. Personally, I always like the idea of enlisting and then becoming a Mustang, like becoming an officer down the road. So you kind of see both sides. And I always thought those were the best officers. But I say that I had some incredible officers who didn't do that. Also, if you're going to go the officer route, see if you can get into an academy. Because if you can get into West Point or the Naval Academy or any of the other various academies, that's even better, like top tier over ROTC programs. Though ROTC is still awesome. 32 years old. Should I join the Navy? Can't find a job and have a wife and 6-year-old kid. Check out my video on joining the military at a later age. You're going to have to make that decision for yourself, but I love the military and the benefits, and it's an adventure, right? So, like, here's the real question. This is what I used to tell kids when I was a recruiter if they were, like, on the fence. If it's something that you really deeply, like, if it's just you're like, fuck it, I don't know what to do, maybe not. But if you're, like, really deeply called to serving in the military and you feel that, and you're like, I've always wanted to, ask yourself if when you're 60, would you regret joining and not enjoying it more than you'd regret never trying? Because there is a chance you join and you don't like it, and then you get out in 4 years. But if you're like, gosh, I really want to serve, you'd probably prefer to try that. In 4 years, join the Marine Corps boot camp. Hell yeah, Fernanda, sorry. Everybody just curious when you went to boot camp. We probably crossed paths then. I went to boot camp in August of 08. I would have been at Edson Range October or November of 08. So, yeah, Walter, we probably crossed paths. You might have taught me how to shoot. Let's see. In a Parigma, scored 88 on the ASVAB, passed NAPT for nuke. Should I do electronics technician? If you want to be a nuke, go nuke. I don't know enough about electronics technician job. If that's a career that you want down the road, yes. But if not, then pick something you want to do. Joseph, what would you do to convince the newbies into taking advantage of TSP as much as they can? Didn't work on me. I wanted the full check. Well, this is where I should just like pick the whole computer up and go upstairs. And I would go into my garage and I would let you hear the sound of my $170,000 car start, my new Corvette Z06. And then I would let you follow me as I drive to one of my 30 houses that I own, or the hotel, or drive all the way to Nashville to the other hotel. And I'd say, do you want the check? Or do you want to never have to work again when you're 35 and be able to fucking spend New Year's? And I went to Amsterdam, Stockholm, and Edinburgh on a whim. Like, and I say that not to be ego, but you said, what do I do to convince you? There's an old study they call the marshmallow study. They take a group of kids and they put them in a room and they give them all a marshmallow. And they say, hey, well, they put each kid in their own room. They say, we're going to be back in 10 minutes. If you eat the marshmallow, you get the marshmallow. If you don't eat the marshmallow, you'll get 2 marshmallows. And the test was delayed gratification. Are you willing to wait 10 minutes to get twice as many marshmallows? And the kids who were able to wait the delayed gratification, they then tracked the difference between all of these students and all of these kids for like 30 or 40 years. And the people who were willing and able to participate delayed gratification succeeded in almost every aspect of life, more so than the people who thought short term. So I would say this. I was the same. The first 7 years, I blew my paycheck on everything: chicks and Harleys and guns and tattoos and beer and Japan and whatever. Um, but if you can learn to think long term, play the long game, right? The reason that I'm winning in business now is because I can outplay, outwork, outthink, outlast any and all of my competition, which means I get to reap those benefits down the road. It's pretty cool. All right. Do you have any tips to rank up faster? Honestly, I would say read my book. I've got a whole chapter on that. But I mean, max out everything you could do for your promotion score, and then do a good job being seen, working your ass off around your command. What Mark Kelly has done and with what Tim Walls has done, may want to consider doing an episode explain what is illegal order and who has the authority under what instance. No, absolutely not. I mean, maybe from a non-political side, but I don't care to get involved in political bullshit. Look, at the end of the day, a lawful order is defined very clearly in the UCMJ. So do what the UCMJ says. If you're not familiar, Uniform Code of Military Justice, for those who are not in yet, very publicly accessible. Yeah, you can become an. I think you can become an officer as a green card holder. You might have to get your citizenship first, but I think you can. If I had TMJ like 3 years ago, honestly, I'm not sure. I don't think that would disqualify you, but they do test for it. But if it doesn't bother you and it's mild, then probably not. Oh, shit. 61 of the ASVAB. Hell yeah. Try to be a Navy diver. Get incredibly comfortable in the pool. Like, be a damn good swimmer, but be able to hold your breath, do underwater swims. Like, look up deep end pool PT or pool fitness. It's like Superman's, where you put your hands up and you just kick. And then it's like underwater swims. And then it's like treading water for hours, right? But for a long period of time. And just get really, really, really comfortable at the breaststroke and the side stroke. And that's probably the best starting point. Joined at 21, got myself a plan, doing one contract, hopping current job, but in Antarctica. That's dope. PhD, GI Bill, NASA. I love that. That's dope. Keep me posted. When you become an astronaut, I want to come watch a launch. What's the downside of listing my house on Redfin? Huge downside. Huge. Would you trust a robot to do a better job than a person? Yeah, you save 1.5%, but it ain't worth it. You will most likely lose more on your purchase price than you will on the commission. I'm not a fan. Now, I think probably find an agent who will do it for 2%, 2.5%. I always pay the 3%. I want the best agent, and I find that works out for me. Let's see. Thanks, Walter. I appreciate you. Semper Fi. Dude, taking my fingerprints at MEPS could be my possible drill instructor. Ship date. I was like, huh, that's when I get my second cycle. That's funny. Probably not going to be your drill instructor. That's weird that he would be saying he's a drill instructor as taking fingerprints at MEPS. Those are two very different billets. But who knows? Pros and cons of the late entry program. Nothing, really. I don't see any real cons. You sign up earlier. That actually gets you a higher likelihood of getting the job you want. And you'll get prepped for recruit training. Roman, good afternoon. Been watching your videos for a long time. Start my next journey on the drill field. I was wondering if you had any advice for me. I was never a drill instructor, but just know you're going to work long hours. You're going to work your butt off. You're going to scream a lot. You're going to do the thing. Get as in the best physical shape you can, and you'll be okay. Drill instructor is mentally not as hard. Well, I won't say not as hard, but it's, they tell you where to be, what to do. And so success is outlaid for you. You just got to crush it. Danny, is it true Navy docs always use 2 fingers and why? No, I don't. I'll tell you this, all jokes aside, right? You don't really ever have to do any kind of rectal exam, with the exception of if you try out for Navy Special Warfare. So I've had that done. and it is not two fingers, and it's not anything crazy, and it's really not even a finger. But I'm not going to go into the specifics of that. But just know, for anyone listening, most of you don't have to deal with any of that. Applying to OCS to be a Navy supply officer. Application in and waiting. Dude, that's sweet. Congrats. KG is wondering what the hell is he doing here. I'm sorry, I'm missing the reference there, but all good. Hardest part of boot camps, just being homesick, I guess. It's mental, but I've got a couple videos on boot camp and passing boot camp. Go check those out. I go into detail. And guys, I'm probably going to wrap this up here in a second. I got a dinner plan I got to make it to. Thanks for all your advice. Meet with a recruiter tomorrow. Try to be a Navy CB. Parker, that's awesome. Reginardo, with a GED, you will need 15 college level credits. So GED is kind of a pain to an extent. Yeah. But you'll need college credits and then you'll be okay. All right, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out. This is my first live stream. Been at 45 minutes. There's a decent chunk of y'all here. Thank you for all watching and being a fan. Hopefully we'll do more of these, and hopefully you'll get some of your questions answered. All right, I appreciate you guys.